think it's more like a national.
Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, April 8th, about 5:17 PM. And I'll be calling with the quorum of members present, I'll be calling the Finance Committee to order. We will have a joint Finance and Human Resources Committee at the end of the finance agenda items. So we'll work our way through these finance items first. So item number one, minutes of the previous meeting. That's from March 25th, 2025. I'll entertain a motion. Okay, motion from Gissel. Second from Tierney. Any discussion on that? Not seeing anything. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed? That carries. Okay. Item number two, discussion and possible action approving budget modification for 4th of July fireworks. And seeing the narrative in the packet, the Room Tax Commission met back last fall and approved, Wausau Area Events asked for $10,000, and they approved $5,000 for marketing and left $5,000 open to sponsor fireworks for the 4th of July celebration. So we're looking to, I guess, do a budget mod in order to sponsor the fireworks this year. So, and those would be coming out of the room tax fund?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions on that? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion. Motion from Gisselman. Second. Second from Tierney. Any other discussion? Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that carries. Okay. Item number three, a discussion and possible action approving reallocation of 2024C to fund a portion of DOT 69999-09-72, Stewart Avenue South 72nd Avenue to South 48th Avenue. And this is actually for the water utility portion of that project.
Yes, so I guess I had a miscommunication in that I thought that the sewers portion or the sewer-related costs of this project were going to be funded by the a clean water fund loan, and that the waters portion would be funded by a safe drinking water loan. The clean water fund loan was accurate. The safe drinking water was not accurate. They had not applied for a loan for the water portion. So really that portion of the project was budgeted for, but it wasn't funded. So I went through and looked at the 2024C project, where those other projects from 24 ended up, also looking at the investment earnings and any reserves that we had on hand. And I feel if we just could reallocate 600,000 of those proceeds over to TID 10, which is where that project was funded, we'll be able to handle the regular capital projects with, like I say, the reserves, the investment earnings, and any project savings.
Okay. Okay. Is there any questions on that? Alderman McElhaney?
I guess I need some more information
Sure.
of why this was unfunded. I mean, through the budget, I don't understand.
Well, it was budgeted for, I just
But you
didn't
didn't have a
borrow.
fund, okay.
Right. And again, it was a miscommunication. I understood that all of the utilities portion was going to be coming from the DNR, and it was really only the sewers portion that was going to be coming from the DNR. So it was just a misunderstanding. But we don't need to borrow any more money. That's the good news.
Okay, so we were able to fund the majority of it out of project savings from
Yes.
other construction
And
projects?
investment income
Okay.
from the proceeds.
Okay.
Not like our general fund
Yep.
investment income. And then, yep,
Yep, so there's no burden to the levy.
right.
All right, any other questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion. Motion from Gisselman. Is there a second? Second on that? Okay, a second from McElhaney. Any discussion? Yeah, go ahead.
So, in preparation for for next year, so will we be counting on those two funds again or is this a large project that,
So there were a lot of projects in the works for those Clean Water Fund and Safe Drinking Water Funds, largely due to bill funding. Is that right, Eric? So the engineering department had applied for a lot of them. Some of them got combined into one loan. We've closed on most of them now, except for the lead service line. So you don't have any outstanding applications, do you? Besides lead service line that aren't closed?
Not from 2024.
Okay.
You know, we're pursuing 2025 and 2026 funding, so the lead service line should be the last one of known funds that are out there.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Anything else? Otherwise, we'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that carries. Okay. Item number 4, discussion and possible approval of reprogramming community development revolving loan funds into the acquisition fund to assist adaptive communities with the purchase of 607 Washington Street. And we've got Tammy Stratz here to fill us in on this.
Hi, thank you. We're here today to request reprogramming some of our revolving loan funds into assisting adaptive communities with the purchase of buying a building. We had a public hearing last week with the Citizens Advisory Committee, of which Katie Jones and Anissa Walters are in the audience here, of adaptive communities came to make the formal request asking for the assistance. They have an accepted offer to purchase on a building at 607 Washington, which is the old Presto Prince building. So it's exciting that it's going to get some new life. And they're in the process of finding funding to help purchase it. They also have the backing of a lender. And then also some renovations that need to be taken care of so that they can increase their membership. This will be their third move in their short tenure because they've been doing such a wonderful job. They need a larger space. So they're here if you have any questions about their organization, but we're looking to ask for reprogramming of some funds to help with them.
And this is a loan, correct? Not a grant.
What we typically do with nonprofits is it ends up being like a 15-year mortgage against the property, and as long as they stay as a nonprofit for those 15 years, after 15, it's forgiven.
Okay.
If they sell between 1 and 15, it's prorated for the number of years they were occupying it.
So this is a forgivable.
forgivable loan, correct.
Forgivable loan with a 15-year term.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you for asking. It's a good,
Yeah.
good question.
Alderman
I have
McElhaney?
a question for adaptive.
Be nice, they're scared.
They're asking for money. Just a question, on your programming, do you charge a fee for your services?
We do. So we're contracted with all the long-term cares in the area, so Lakeland, Inclusa, Iris. So every 15 minutes that a member is in our facility is considered a unit, and so we do charge every 15 minutes. And then for those who don't have long-term care, we use grants to help offset the cost, so it's affordable to everybody.
Yeah, that's my point is, I understand long-term care, but there are other people in need that may not have those type of supports and may not have the funding. And so if the government's involved in giving forgivable loans, I would like to make sure that at least publicly you can say that you would work with everybody.
Yes, our biggest goal is to make sure that our program is affordable to everybody, so we really make sure that I never want someone to not be able to come because of their finances.
so then how do they come into your care? How do your clients?
So we work with all the school districts in Wausau. We work with Mosinee, Marathon, Anago. And so as a student either enters the 18 to 21 year program, or when they're 18, we start transitions. So they come in with their teachers, families, guardians, and they do tours. And if they're interested, then we start the transition so that when they graduate, they're comfortable with us, they know our routine, and it's a really smooth move from high school into a day service.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Can I add one thing? Sorry. They are very, they know block grant funding and reporting very well because they have received some funding, public service funding from us in the past. So they know that there's reporting. And I can tell you, they're awesome at it. We don't have to nag them. They get it to us and it's correct. So we're excited about that. It's a little thing sometimes.
Yeah, I really like the aspect that the building's downtown and it's accessible and on a bus line. So that's really neat to see that you found such a facility that's such a good fit. So any other questions or discussion? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion. Okay, a motion from Gisselman, second from Tierney? Okay, anything else? Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that carries, so thank you much.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Item number 5. Discussion and possible action on alleged claim for recovery of unlawful tax, Green Acres at Greenwood Hills LLC, 3029 Town Line Road, 3115 Town Line Road, and private road at Green Acres. And we have our assessor here. If anybody has any questions, Rick is coming up to the podium. So.
This claim here is a continuation from last year's claim of an unlawful tax. So this is their right to continue on and to add 2024 to their current court case that they have with the city. So the assessment office would recommend that you disallow this claim due to pending litigation and for failure to prove that their claim is valid. The property that is assessed is owned by Greenwood Acres. There's had been no conveyance to the city of Wausau for these roads, and that's what this claim is over. So you have any questions?
Anybody have any questions on this? We entertained a claim similar to this last year, so I guess procedurally, so everybody knows what we do in alleged claims for unlawful tax is the motion has to be made in the affirmative, and then we would vote no to deny the claim, or disallow the claim. So if there are any questions on that. All right. Okay, a motion to, make a motion to approve the claim, a second. Second from McElhaney, any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Okay, and all those opposed, say no? No. Okay. So, Gary, just to clarify, you are voting no, correct? Yeah. Okay.
I had reported like that.
Okay, that is, it's unanimous, the claim has been disallowed. All right. Item number 6, discussion and possible action approving the suspension of hourly parking fees at Ramp 3. That's the J.C. Penney ramp, during the downtown street construction project. And we have a representative here from the River District Wausau that wishes to speak.
Thank you for allowing me a few moments to speak tonight. My name is Callie Wolk. I'm the Executive Director at the Wausau River District. That is Wausau's Main Street America program, and we work in conjunction with the Business Improvement District. I'm here to request your support in temporarily waiving the parking fees in the J.C. Penney parking ramp during the first 3 phases of the Foundry project construction. That's approximately April 14th through July 3rd, 2025. This portion of the Foundry construction project includes major underground utility work and complete street reconstruction along Washington Street and the intersection of 3rd Street. Those are 2 of our downtown's primary corridors and entry points. So during these phases, vehicle access and on-street parking will be extremely limited and in some cases entirely closed. These disruptions will directly impact many of our small businesses and they depend on visibility and foot traffic to stay afloat. So as you know, the JCPenney ramp is a city-owned facility that has been somewhat underutilized since the demolition of the Wausau Center Mall. This makes it an ideal solution. It's already in place, it's close to the construction zone, and it can serve as a critical access point to keep our customers coming downtown as parking becomes more limited and streets become more difficult to navigate. However, we know it's not just about parking, right? Because at its core, it's about supporting our small business owners. When access is blocked and parking feels scarce or confusing, many potential visitors will choose to stay away completely. So free ramp access removes that barrier and sends a strong message that our city supports our small business owners and entrepreneurial ecosystem through both short-term disruption and long-term progress. We recognize that parking revenue may be a budgetary consideration. However, the temporary loss of those ramp fees is likely to be outweighed by the broader economic benefit of keeping our storefronts open during this time. I also want to express our full support in the Foundry project. We know that once it's complete, it will bring new housing, new residents, and new energy to our downtown, and we're excited to see that take shape. So our goal here is simply to ensure that businesses currently serving our downtown community can make it through these growing pains and be a part of the success that is yet to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any questions on this? Yep, go ahead.
So are we waiving people that already have permits for JCPenney? I'm just thinking of the fairness of this. I can, if we want to say, and then again, the Jefferson ramp as well. I mean, I don't understand the hourly compared to people that have bought permits.
So there are permit holders, there's annual permit holders in the Penny's ramp. I mean, they're not having any problems during the construction, it's really just the shoppers, and so that discount is available just for the shoppers currently in this resolution.
So how is that going to work? How many hours?
And it will be similar to, we did when the mall was open, shut and not charge for hourly parking in both ramps right before the Christmas holidays, and the permitters still had to pay for their permits. So it's really similar to that arrangement.
I'm just trying to figure, so how do you know somebody is a hourly parker?
Because they have to use the pay station. So we'll basically put a hood on the pay station, which the permitters don't use right now, and that would give them that free parking for that hourly parking.
And then is there a limit to how much, or could they go in there and update it for all day?
Well, they're not going to be using the pay station, so there would not be a limit.
What? Who's not using the pay
They
station?
won't be when we hood the pay station.
Oh, you're
like
going, okay, so then somebody could go in and park all day?
Yes.
Right, okay. Then is it fair to tell the permit holders that they have to pay during those times because they bought an annual pass when we're allowing other people to park for free during that time frame?
So I guess that would be your decision. Again, we replicated this similar to the Christmas holiday when the hourly parkers were not having to pay and the monthly parkers were paying. So it's very similar to past practice during the holidays. If you want to change that, you would change the resolution to reflect that.
Does the permit holders, do they have assigned spaces?
They do not.
They do not. So are we going to do we know if somebody's a permit holder?
Yep.
If you go into the ramp? So
Yes.
if an officer wanted to, or CSO wanted to enforce overnight parking,
Yes.
they would be able to differentiate between the two? Because I
Yep.
think that would probably be the key point. If people start taking advantage of the free parking, we start seeing cars there overnight, I think we would want somebody to address that.
But,
Alder Gisselman? Yeah.
but the holiday is just pretty much 1 month, basically from the end of November through
That's
the
true.
end of December, pretty much. We're talking, how many, couple months, more than a couple months so Right now, I don't have, but I think there should be some altering of that. And right now, I'm not sure, maybe we can think about that, and this gets referred to the city council. Is that on the,
It's on the agenda for tonight, because construction starts next week.
right? I agree with Alderperson McElhaney. I think we should make some adjustments with her point, but I'm not quite sure at this point what, how many permit holders do we have?
So right now, you can purchase a permit here at City Hall. Most of the larger businesses purchase them through City Hall. And then you can purchase them through the Passport website. So I know there were about 50 that the city is selling. And I don't know how many are being sold by Passport. I didn't look.
Okay, thank you.
Alder Tierney?
I just wanted to clarify, what dates did you want that parking fee waived?
Yeah, so phases 1, 2, and 3 of construction are April 14th through July 3rd, 2025, tentatively, information from the city engineer.
Okay, so you're talking a couple of months.
Yep, it's 11 weeks.
So we don't even need to worry about the holidays or anything like that since it's only 11 weeks.
Nope, yep, it's just for those essentially almost 3 months because Washington Street's going to be completely dug up and all the storefronts are going to be negatively affected by that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I just wanted to clarify that because I know there was talk of the holidays and things like that, and that's not going to be an issue since it's only a couple of months.
I guess my point is that there are people that park in those ramps that work downtown too. So they'll be affected by the street tear up. I'm not trying to get less money in the city, but I'm trying to think of fairness. And I just don't, you know,
No, I agree with that completely. I agree with that. I just wanted to reiterate that, you know, you got to give them 2 months of not being charged would be the right thing to do, or 3. But, I mean, we're not looking at holidays or anything like that. We're just looking at 3 months. And I do think that they should be compensated in some manner as well.
Instead of writing checks, can we just extend a credit?
It's kind of a nightmare. So we can do that internally. It's going to be a nightmare in Passport, frankly. You know, we made the parking changes to parking enforcement, and they finally got that fixed in Passport probably 2 weeks ago. So their ability to respond to our changing whims on parking is not very nimble. So by the time the process would be over, they would finally figure out how to adjust those permits. That was really, even when this was brought to me, I tried to explain what a pain and how time-consuming trying to write all of these things will be because of the different kinds of permits. You know, some people have already purchased an annual permit, some people are purchasing monthly, they have auto-renew through their credit card. It's going to be really a challenge to try to take care of all of these people, the permit holders. And like I said, I don't think that Passport will be able to do that on a timely basis.
Okay, I understand that, but we've got people that you said about 50 or so that are buying from the city. So we should be able to accomplish that. I
Well,
would
then
think.
you're really dissecting
Okay.
between
We
groups.
have-
I mean, hourly parkers are different than permit parkers,
Okay.
and we've always treated them differently.
Well, we have to do something because, I mean, we're trying to sell these parking spots and then we're going to penalize people because they're not there. So I think fair is fair, and I think that if we're going to go ahead and say, sure, and I do think that we need to do that for our downtown businesses, but I also think that we need to do that for our citizens that are paying for parking, and we're not giving them a break.
We'll put together a
We
refund.
have to do some way of.
We'll put
of
together a
doing
refund form that people can fill out online, and we'll refund them at the end of the season.
And that's acceptable, but let's not forget why this came about. It was the downtown businesses who are being affected. So they're looking for a way to turn a bad thing into a good thing. Third Street's going to, may I speak? I didn't ask for permission.
No, go ahead.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead. I saw you coming up there, so I was gonna ask you to come.
Thank you, Chair. So let's take kind of a, hey, it's a construction season. We can turn this into a marketing thing. Every one of the businesses down there has their own micro marketing plans. They can put out their letters, their blast to their customers, let them know the situation. We're going to communicate. It's going to clog up that piece of downtown for a good chunk of the summer. It really is affecting them. So to invite people to come down and have the free parking, like Mary Ann said, it doesn't affect the people at the federal building. If you have a permit parking, you're in there, you get different privileges. You can be parking in there overnight, and that's the main purpose for them having it. So we didn't look at it from the standpoint of hurting somebody. We looked at it as to try to make a good thing out of a bad thing. Let's market it. Have a sidewalk sale. That street's going to be closed, Third Street, for a portion, maybe 2 to 3 weeks. So there's opportunities to do some fun things down there, invite people in, get them acclimated to the parking. We always have this debate every year when we talk about the parking fees and parking, getting more people to park there. It seems like people in Wausau hate using the ramps. Let's light them up. We talked about the lighting plan. We're going to turn the lights on more permanently or brighter so that it looks inviting. And once we get accustomed to going there, maybe we'll feel better about parking there. So that was the intention, is to be an attractant rather than some sort of a penalty for somebody else. But I'll work with Mary Ann. The urgency of it was they came to us a couple of days ago. So it seemed to be like a good idea to try to help accommodate them. It seems reasonable. And this is the only meeting we have between now and the start of construction, since we don't have another April meeting until the end of the month. So thank you for considering this.
Well, they're amending the resolution then.
Okay. All right, so it sounds like we want to create some kind of a mechanism for refunding permit holders. Would some kind of a refund form be amenable? And then they can then if you've got a permit, you can apply for the refund, and then after the construction season, does that work for everybody? Okay, then we will need an amendment to the resolution.
I'll amend it. I make the motion to amend the resolution to include the ability for people that have parking passes for the J.C. Penney or the J.C. Penney ramp to apply for a refund during the time frame of the free parking.
Okay. Second to that? Second from Alder Tierney. Discussion on the amendment? Anybody has anything to say on the amendment? Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The amendment carries. All right, and then we will, any discussion on the resolution, on the item as amended? Not hearing, and I think we do have a motion and a second on the original, do we?
I don't have a motion or a second.
Oh, we don't, okay.
So we'd still need that
Okay, so then,
as amended.
all right, so we'll need a motion and a second on the resolution as amended. Okay, Alder McElhaney, second. Alder Tierney. All right, any other discussion? Okay, not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And the motion carries. All right, thank you. And that concludes our Finance Committee only items. We will now have, have the HR Committee join us. So I'll let Alder McElhaney, Chair of the HR Committee, call it to order.
It is. I am now calling the HR committee to order. We have quorum present in the chamber.
Okay, and we do have one joint item, and that's discussion and possible action approving the creation of a shelter lead and shelter advocate positions, along with their respective job descriptions and corresponding pay scales and related budget modification. And we have the police, I don't know, where do you want to start with this? Chief Barnes, do you want to kind of brief us?
Sure, I was about to sit down and wait to get called up, but that happened quick. First off, let me just thank the willingness to have a joint meeting. As you are all aware, we published an RFP asking for emergency shelter to provide for 2025 and 2026. The result of that, we received one proposal from Pastor Yao Yang, who's in the audience today. That proposal was not for an emergency shelter, it was for transitional housing. So I just want to state that I thought it was a great proposal. It just wasn't for what we were looking for to be able to provide shelter services in very short order. So at this point, I am aware of 2 organizations that have reached out to me and said they are very interested in, the timing didn't work for them, and if there was an extended period of time, they would likely produce proposals to be providing 365 shelter. So it is our intention to republish that RFP at some point in the next 2 to 4 weeks and give an extended period of time for proposals to come in, providing those organizations more opportunity to be thoughtful and work with their boards to be able to provide that, which left us with the situation of, what do we do on May 1st? And on May 1st will be the first day that Catholic Charities Warming Center will close their shelter. And that shelter won't be available again until November 1st of 2025. And again, they have a 30-bed facility. And so what do we do? And at the end of the day, in talking with our staff and searching my own heart and mind, I think it's incredibly important that Wausau provide shelter, whether it be in the summer months or the winter months. And having some stewardship over that process, I didn't know what to do. And then I asked ourselves and my staff and the team, can we do this? And the answer was yes. Is it ideal? Absolutely not. Do I want to be responsible for running a shelter? No. Do I think we can spin it up? Have a safe place for people to shelter, provide the services that we think are important? Yes, it's doable. It's just going to require a lot of work on our end and a lot of exigency in moving things through this process. So what is necessary for us to move forward and step on the gas tomorrow is the HR committee to approve 2 new job descriptions. How many employees that will be remains to be seen, whether they be full-time employees or part-time employees. But irregardless, they will be limited term employees, and limited term employees within the city of Wausau means you can work no more than 1,200 hours in a calendar year, unless at some point prior to Act 10 you were employed by a governmental entity, and then your limit is 600 hours to be able to be an LTE. So those are the type of positions we're going to create. We have a shelter lead position, which will be an individual who has stewardship over when they're working over volunteers that we will do an incredible recruitment campaign to do over the next 3 weeks, as well as all the registering individuals that are coming to utilize the shelter. So those hours in which the population that's going to be utilizing the shelter are awake and receiving services, that's the lead position. Then about midnight, we will have 2 staff people that we have listed as shelter advocates in your materials. And those individuals will run the shelter primarily in hours where the population is sleeping until the morning comes, and then helping make sure that the facility is taken care of and those people are moved on their way. In my first iteration, I thought, not a problem. The council authorized money to the police chief to be able to utilize. And felt really good about moving forward until Marianne and I had a conversation, and we were like, hey, isn't there a rule that said, from ARPA, that said you couldn't utilize ARPA dollars in 2025 or 2026 on positions unless those positions existed prior to December 31st, 2024? And in addressing that question with the auditors, the answer was no. And so Marianne and I decided that's not the appropriate funding mechanism to do this. So the ideal and cleanest option that exists for you to be able to fund those positions, which comes to $65,000 per year, which represents half of the total cost of $130,000 in labor expenses to get through the end of the year, because Marathon County is covering half of the costs. That $65,000 could be paid with investment income on the ARPA dollars that have been allocated to the city, as the cleanest, easiest way to use one fund, although we had numerous discussions about ways that we could try and get across the finish line when it came to funding that also met your needs. So a lot of people are asking, where is this going to be? Both Tracy Durante and I have toured what was once during COVID used as a shelter, which is the First United Methodist Church of Wausau, which is just a block or so to the north of here. They have completely empty space in their basement that totals 10,000 square feet. It has shower, it has bathroom facilities, it has laundry hookup that's already in place there. So it met all of our needs. It also accomplishes for us the ability to do something that I've often felt is incredibly important in sheltering, and that's to be able to create a safe space by separating the male guests from the female guests and giving them an environment like that. So the facility is ideally set up to do that with plenty of space. Our goal is to not turn anyone away. So we're looking at a capacity of 50 to 60 people. And when we looked at community on call during the winter, when we know our shelters filled up to the maximum capacity, we'd often land in that 52, 53, 54 people served per night. So we feel comfortable that we won't be turning anyone away, and we can create a safe environment. And by doing so until December 31st, we give those other organizations in the community that have an interest in providing this service the time necessary for them to make sure they're comfortable with that and create a plan that works for them. So tonight, my ask of the council in these committees is, number one, to approve those 2 positions that you'll see job descriptions in your packet, and then work with the finance committee to develop what that funding mechanism would look like to be able to cover the $65,000 out of something other than straight ARPA dollars. And the benefit to that would be, or less of a negative, is it also gives the city ability to claw back that $65,000 in ARPA and use them on other projects, because we as a city and you as a council overcommitted us just for situations like this where there might be additional dollars available. So we know those projects exist, so that money won't go to waste. I'm confident in that. Now I'm ready for the questions.
Okay. Questions for the chief? Anything from the finance side?
Have at her.
Thank you, Chief Barnes, and I so much appreciate the fact that you've put forth the effort to find a shelter that is much needed, so thank you for that. I'm unsure when you talk about ARPA, the funds that we can have from ARPA.
The investment income?
The investment funds, where does that come from? The other thing, we have the job descriptions for the 2 types of employees, but we don't know how many. Is that correct?
Right. What we do know is on any given day of providing shelter services, there's 8 hours of lead time that's necessary, and there's 16 hours of advocate time that's necessary. So 24 total hours per day, 7 days a week for 8 months. If we have applicants that come in and say, I understand it's an LTE position and I'd like to work 40 hours a week, then I need less positions than if everybody that applies for this position or that we can recruit can only work a day or two. So my intention is to treat it very similar to we do our summer CSO program, which is I start with a budget and I can have as many employees as I want in that, but I'm limited to that budget to be, that's what the controlling factor is, not the number of employees, but the amount of money that those employees cost.
I would like an explanation of ARPA investments because I have no clue.
I feel like I could do it, but I'm going to defer to the finance director.
I think
So-
Mary Ann's ready for this.
Right, so we were paid our ARPA funds in advance, and so we have those invested, and we're generating investment income every month. So for the first quarter of the year, we earned about $55,300 in investment income this quarter. So, we'll easily achieve the amount needed for those payroll. And so the federal regulations are we can use the investment income for anything we want. And there's no ARPA strings attached to it at all.
Okay. Thank you.
Alder Tierney?
Are you sure we still have that in investments? Because I don't know what kind of investments you
Well,
have.
we
that
have
for.
very secure investments, so
Okay.
yes.
Just a couple of things, since maybe there's some people watching on YouTube. First, I think it's appropriate to recognize how much work Tracy Durante has put in the last 2 weeks. And I am relying on her expertise, as she has experience running shelters in Wausau for us when she was with Catholic Charities. And I also just want to acknowledge Catholic Charities provides a great service to us. And the fact that we will have more than one shelter available in Wausau, I think, is a net benefit come November, and I look forward to continuing to work with them. And some of the things that, when I say we're going to step on the gas and we need to do very quickly, we need to recruit. Some people were already aware and have heard about this and have suggested, hey, I might be interested in that. It is also recruiting volunteers, which, and how do we approach them? We're going to use our social media reach. Wausau has always come through when we ask for help, and it's for a good reason. So I'm going to be incredibly optimistic until I have a reason not to be. But we will be having, call them emergency meetings or urgent meetings over the next week or so with as many faith-based organizations as we can get in to sit down and meet with and tell them what we're doing and ask them how and if they'd be willing to help us. And then we also have numerous different organizations within the community that are serving the unhoused population. And I think they would all agree that having stability in sheltering is a good thing. And my ask of them is going to be exactly what I asked in the RFP, which is I'm going to expect that of ourselves, that we create opportunity for other providers to work with us in providing these shelter services and also be able to utilize the services that they provide in their own organizations with us in the sheltering. So those are two meetings that have to occur. And I'm excited to see what the response is. There have already been some faith-based leaders that say, tell me what you need. And we will mobilize our parishioners to be able to help serve this vulnerable population in Wausau. And I just think it's one of the things that I've said publicly before that makes Wausau a great place to be. When they ask, why would I want to be in Wausau? I'm like, because this community, when need be, they step up and do what's necessary to be done to take care of our community. So that's the overall goal here, and I think it's doable. So thank you. Yes, ma'am.
One more question. How will Tracy be involved? Because she has the expertise with the unhoused population, and we're talking about volunteers and part-time employees. How will Tracy be involved?
I see Tracy's role expanding at least over the next 8 months. Do I think Tracy's going to be there every night with a hands-on approach? No, but my hope is she's going to be put in a leadership position over that program. She's going to be involved in developing the procedures and the policies for the operation of that shelter, as well as working with the recruiting of the volunteers and the training of the staff that are going to be there.
Well, I do wish to say that I'm happy about that because Tracy has tremendous experience and I think she's a very kind, caring person. And I'm glad that she will be that involved. Thank you.
I'm not sure I'd be standing here if she didn't work with us right now and be able to provide that expertise. And lastly, the only moving part that exists right now, that the significant moving part is today, I never thought I would do this. I filled out a conditional use permit application to our inspections department to be able to utilize the basement church, similar to that was done during COVID at that same time. So.
All right. I'll pass it off to Alder McElhaney if you want to work us through the job descriptions.
Yeah, well, if there's any questions, they're in the packet. Is there any questions about the job descriptions? There is that, and then in the memo, it stated the anticipated wages. And I know, and I appreciate everyone's ability to be flexible in getting that information to you. This was kind of done on the fly, and I understand that, but we're doing the best we can. Any questions? Go ahead, Carrie.
Just with regard to the advocate, the shelter, with regard to crisis, part of that is dealing with crisis management, that type of thing. So, and the minimum is a high school education. It bothers me, but maybe you're confident that you can do the appropriate training, so that the people that we do hire that do work overnight, that do engage in the homeless situations with the homeless people, that they are, well qualified, well trained. If you're assuring me of that, that's fine. I just reading the job description in crisis management, I'm not sure that if we can find the people with a high school diploma with regard to that, but yeah, I guess we're assured that that can happen.
Sure, I'd be happy to address that, which is I'm very confident in our ability to train individuals to de-escalate a situation, and the fortunate thing for those employees over this next 6 months, if this works, is they have the full force and response, which is sub 2-minute response of the Wausau Police Department. So at 24 hours a day, we have our patrol supervisors that are available, as well as our patrol officers. And these employees are going to become part of our team. And so we will be doing some training with our staff on what shelter operations look like, and our expectation that they respond immediately. And all of our officers have been CIT trained, crisis intervention trained, and de-escalation trained. And so compared to what other shelters throughout the country utilize for staff, which I'm sure is very similar to what our expectations in the job description are, but they don't necessarily have a police department that's going to be as responsive as I am confident ours will be. So it is a tough job that we're asking someone to do for $20 an hour or $22 an hour. I understand that, but we are going to give them the best training we can and utilize experts in those fields to be able to do that, and then we're going to be there to support them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a.
Yeah, go ahead. Gary.
Not necessarily. So with the new RFP going out, will that be pretty much the same one that you sent out in March?
I think it'll be very similar. I think the difference that probably scared some individuals that were considering putting a proposal together was the timeline. And so our ability to fill this gap through the end of the year gives them 8 months, and it gives them more time to talk to their boards and their funders and their groups on what that might look like to be able to put a proposal together.
And maybe this is more for city council later on, but there's still $400,000, right? Is that correct with regard to dealing with the resolution of December 30th with regard to funding homeless shelter, homeless services?
Right. And
That's still out there, as I would assume, right?
Yeah, I keep asking for Mary Ann, how much money do I have to spend? Because the resolution says up to $400,000, because that was unknown. Mary Ann's made it very clear to me that, Matt, it's not $400,000, it's less than that. Probably closer to the $300,000 range that's available. And so, in looking at the anticipated expenses of providing this shelter service for the next 8 months, it spends some of that money, but there will still be dollars available for us to be able to support someone opening a stable and long-term shelter service and be able to provide those services into the future. Like, not, I'm interested in what does it look like beyond 2026. I'll be honest with you, I'd like to not have to deal with this issue every other year or be coming back to the council every year. So I feel good that we're storming before we norm here, but it's going to be hard over the next year and a half in addressing this issue. But long term, I do feel very good that this community is going to be addressing the unhoused population and creating opportunity for them that we're going to be in a much better and a much stronger position a year from now than we are today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Not hearing anything. Do we need two motions, one on the budgetary item and then one on the job descriptions, or can this all be rolled into
It can be
one?
rolled into one, because you could just, the resolution rolls it into
The
one.
resolution rolls it all into one. So,
But the committees would have to do
Oh.
each vote, I think, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
okay.
vote separately.
Do you want to go first, or do you want HR?
I guess I can go first.
Okay.
Let me get back to my screen here. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to create these job descriptions and the related budget modification. I guess the emphasis on the finance side will be the budget modification. A motion from Tierney, second from McElhaney. Any discussion on that? And then I think since we'll be using ARPA investment income, that $65,000 ARPA funds could potentially be reallocated for other,
Right, or used for
or
the
used,
RFP.
or used for the RFP. So, okay. All right, not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that carries from finance.
Then I would like to get a motion to accept this job description, approving the creation of the shelter lead, shelter advocate positions, and the job descriptions and pay scales.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Martin, second by Killian. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
All right. We'll let you close HR and then we'll close finance.
Motion to adjourn HR, motion by Tierney, second by, I was looking, she was ready. Okay, second by Gilselman. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.
And then I'll entertain a motion to close the finance. That's a motion from Tierney, second from, McElhaney. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Finance is adjourned, and Common Council will meet in about 20 minutes.